Assalamu alaikum friends, my name is Adnan Kurban, and today in this video tutorial I am going to show you how to use file upload control and how to use form view control, and I will also tell you how to add and edit template fields in data grid view and how to create sessions. Before going ahead, I would like to tell you uh, a little bit about these controls, the basic purpose of these controls actually. File upload control is actually used to upload a file that we select using this control to the server. It is actually consisted of a text box control and a browse button that allows a user to select a file and then later on upload it to the server. And as far as form view is concerned, form view is just like the grid view. The only difference is between grid view and form view is that grid views actually allow us to represent the data in rows, in columns actually, while form view is the control that allows us to actually display the data in rows, and it is used to display the value of single record from the data source and using the user defined templates. And it similarly, just like the grid view, it allows us to edit, delete and insert records too. So let's start. Go to Visual Studio and we will create a web application. Just click on next project, and from the C# select web, click on ASP.NET. Okay, and we will create an empty project. Click OK. The first thing that we are going to do is we will add two forms. Just select your project, right click on it and click on add and select new item, and we will be adding two web forms. First web form 1 is the name of this form. Click on add button and it will add a form for us. Similarly, we will add another form, new item and web form 2, add it. So we have two web forms, and now we will put some controls on this form, and I'll prefer to work in this source view. I'll create a table to beautify the view of our form, and we will use table rows and table data. First one would be our name, and here we will drag and drop a text box. Okay, here you can see that I have a name and a text box. Similarly I have added city label and a text box for inputting the values for the city, and I have another label says picture, and here we will use our file upload control, and here is our file upload control. Just double click on it and it will be displayed over here, and we will use a button, and on clicking that button we will insert these values into our database. So let's add a button, create another div right here, and we will put a button inside that div. Double click on this button and it will be placed here. Just select your button, go to properties and change the text as insert record. Okay, what we are going to do is whenever user clicks on this button, it will take the values from these fields and insert them into the database. and in order to do that, just select your button, right click on it and go to properties, and it's on create an on click event for that button. Just double click on it and this will create an on click event for us. Okay, now save this project. Okay, what we are going to do is we are going to add and a grid view and SQL data source. So just go to your toolbox and look for grid view and grid view, drag and drop it on your form, and an SQL data source too. So this is how we can do that. Okay, what we have to do is we have to create a table as well that will hold the name, city and picture for us. So go to SQL server, and I have already created a table. In my databases, I have created a database called template and session database, and inside this database I have a table named table, and if we right click on it and go to design view, you can see the design of this table. It has 4 columns: ID, name, city, picture, along with its data types. ID is having int and the remaining 3 fields are of n varchar. I have set this column ID column as primary key. You can set it primary key as just by right clicking on it and clicking on set primary key, and just save it. Okay, we have to include this database into our Visual Studio web application. So just you can see this icon, just click on it and copy the server name from here, copy, and go back to your Visual Studio and look for Server Explorer, or if you couldn't find it anywhere, just click on view, and here you can see that Server Explorer. Okay, just select data connections, right click on it and select add connection. Now change the data source. If it is not Microsoft SQL Server, select Microsoft SQL Server. Okay, and type the server name here, and you will be promoted to select or enter database name. So from the drop down list, select the database name. Since in our case the database name was template and session DB, so click on it, and you can test the connection by clicking on it. Here it says test connection succeeded. Click OK, and then again click OK to add this connection right here. Now we have to actually configure our SQL data source. So select your SQL data source and click on this arrow, and then select configure data source, and from here you can see the connection strings. Click on new connection and change the source to SQL Server, and here you just keep it as it is. And one thing to be remembered is click on advanced, and we have to check these boxes that will allow us to generate, insert, update and delete statements from the SQL data source. Click OK, next, test the query if you wanted to, and finish. So this is our SQL data source that is configured successfully, and now we have to do is we have to configure the grid view as well. So just click on this arrow, and we can simply choose the data source from by clicking this drop down list and select SQL data source 1. Here you can see the changes that says ID, name, city, picture. These are the 4 columns that we have in our table. Save this, and now what we are going to do is we have to enter some text in these text boxes and check whether it inserts the record in the database and whether it displays in the grid view or not. But before doing that, we have to make some changes. First of all, we have to write the code for this file upload control to actually, let me show you. Just build your project, and we will see what happens. This is output. We will type name here, city here, and this is our file upload control, just click on choose file, and it will allow us to choose a file from this list of files that we have saved. Now you see, if we select a file and click open, it copies the name of the file right here in this text field. So what we are supposed to do is we have to save this file name, and in order to do that we have to type the code. I'll show you what is the code. Go to Visual Studio, stop the project, and just double click on insert record button, and before typing the code just include a namespace, that is using system.io, that says input output. Okay, we will declare a string called file name that will holds the name of the file that we choose from there, from the file upload control. First of all, we will type path dot, we will get the file name, and we will get the file name from the file upload one, that is the name of our control, and this would be in the brackets here, this, and we will use the file name property of our file upload control. So type file name, and this simply copies the name of the, actually this is what is going to do is it will just simply selects the file name property of the file upload control and copies it into this string. Now what we have to do is we have to update it, upload it to the server as well. So in order to do that, we have to type file upload one dot save as, and we have to save this file and type server dot map path, and here we will type the path where we want to save this file, and these should be the round brackets, and put a addition sign here, and tell the name of the file that is actually stored in file name. So type file name. Okay, now we have to specify the address here. So before doing that, we will create a folder in our Solution Explorer to save the files that we select. So select your project from the Solution Explorer, right click on it and add a folder, and we will name it as images, and we will type the name here, but we have to type it as tilde sign bracket slash name of the folder, that is images, again slash, and save it. Okay, so this first line is actually doing what it is doing is that it is actually copying the name of the file into the file name string, and this line of code is actually copying that file whose file name is stored here into this directory, that is this images folder, and now insert parameters, and the name of parameters, actually we have to go to our database and we have to copy that name from here to this place, paste it here, dot default value, and we have to provide the default value that is equal to this directory. Just copy it from here, paste along with the inverted commas, dot file name plus file name. So this third line actually insert a parameter named picture, and it copies the name of the image into the SQL data source. Okay, we have actually three data fields. We have inserted the parameter for upload file upload control, but these are not inserted till now. So what we are going to do is we have to select our data source, and we have to go to its properties. So just right click on it, go to properties, and select the insert query, and we update it a bit. We have to provide the name and city parameter. We have already provided the picture in the code, so just provide these two parameters. We have to specify the parameter source. Just select control from the drop down list, and then control ID is actually text box 1 is used to input the name, and to input the city we'll use control text box 2, and just click OK, and it will do the insertion for us. Just double click on your insert button and call the insert function of SQL data source. So SQL data source 1 dot insert, and it will insert values for us. Just save it and execute the program so that you can see the changes. Okay, let's select type the name as flower, we'll say garden, and choose file, select a file, click open, and you can see the file name here. Just press insert record, and you can see that flower garden and the name of the image is inserted into our database. You might be wondering why aren't we storing the picture into database. So it is actually not the case. We'll actually storing the address of the picture in our database. That is actually a fast process, and in order to show the picture here, we will edit this grid view. I'll show you how. Go to Visual Studio and select your grid view. Just click on this arrow, and first of all we have to click on edit columns, and we will add a template field. So just select template field, click on add button, and it will add a template field for us. Just click OK, and here you can see a column, a complete column. This is of the actually template field. This column is of the newly inserted template field. Now we have to edit the template. So in order to do that, select this arrow, actually click on it, and from here click on edit template, and since we are talking about the item template of column 4, so select item template, and here we will stop this one. Here we will use an image control to display our image. So go to toolbox, select this image control and drag it here. You can resize it according to your okay, and we have to provide the URL of image. So in order to do that, click here and edit data binding, and select image source, and where we have to specify the source of the image that is actually stored in the picture column of the data table. So select the picture field from here and click OK, and it will provide the path of the image. Now click on edit template and template editing. Okay, now save this and again execute your program. Now you will see the picture as well along with the other recorder.